Welcome back, Geico Outkick Studios. Open phone lines letting you guys react to 877-996-6369. Dub, let's pump them up. Who's next?
We got John in New York.
John, what you got for me?
Yeah, hey there, Clay. One observation. I was an election official. I worked one of the polls in a small town upstate. And yesterday, really, like you observed, wasn't that busy. We were actually talking among ourselves saying, man, between 6 and 9 p.m., not that crowded at all. And also, we didn't see – I expected a lot of younger people to be there. I'd say, maybe people below 35, like 20s and 30s. And, from all the social media, you thought there was going to be a big turnout, but at least where we were, didn't see them.
Yeah. How long have you been being a poll worker?
Well, I volunteered this year. This was my first year, so I was there from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. yesterday, and we covered the entire town.
Well, I appreciate you doing that because you guys are incredibly important. Thanks for the call. Whoever you are out there. I mean, there are a lot of different people who are volunteering their time to work at the different polling sites, and I think that's one of the best things you can do to help out and help the election process in general. I do think that one of the big storylines that is going to come out of this election is Twitter is total BS, right? I don't know when people are going to start to realize that Twitter is not real life, but it is dividing us massively, and it isn't in any way representative of the real world. Now, Democrats may end up winning a very small margin election here, but Joe Biden was the least popular Democrat on social media by far. And the other thing it teaches us is there was all this talk about, young people are going to vote. Sports and teams got all involved in pumping up the vote. And then it seems like, yes, a lot of people voted. I think this is going to be the most, the highest election total ever, would be my guess, by the time all these different votes come in. But it still was not dominated by young people. So there's a lot of people on social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, who talk big games and then don't even take the time to go vote. But I appreciate everybody who was working at a poll across the country and helping to make the electoral process go as smooth as you could, doing your small part. Who's next?
We got Reed in Los Angeles.
Reed, what you got for me?
Hey, I just want to let you know I'm a Packers fan, and it's been a sorry last couple of weeks, with the exception of the Houston game, of course. But it seems like any team that can run the ball decently has a very good chance and a pure path to victory to the Packers. So there's that, and I want to get your take on it. But also, when it comes to the election, the state of Arizona has two big areas, I think, that they haven't finished counting the votes for, was the Tucson area and the Phoenix area. So if there's any play, if it comes into play there, then that could be a huge flip for that side. But yeah,
thanks for the call. Look, I think that the Packers made a bad decision when they went out and spent their first-round draft pick on Jordan Love. They're not going to use him this year at all. I think the Packers have clear issues right now stopping the run. Dalvin Cook crushed them. He ran all over them. And in terms of Arizona, the latest is, I don't think there's been a lot of more detail coming out about Arizona, but right now Biden is up 5 in Arizona, 5 points with 82% of the vote in. And just FYI, Michigan has continued to update with 86% of the vote counted. Trump is up 0.6 in Michigan. So we don't know exactly where those remaining votes in Michigan are going to come from. But again, Trump has a narrow lead in Michigan right now. And Biden is now up 0.6. That's less than 1%. Biden is now up 0.6 in Wisconsin with 92% of the vote in there. Trump continues to have a small lead in Georgia and North Carolina. In order to win this election at this point, Trump needs to win North Carolina, Georgia, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, or he needs to flip he needs to flip Arizona or Wisconsin back into his column. So that's where the numbers are right now at 7:30 a.m. Eastern, as those votes continue to come in many of the Midwestern states, which are going to be insanely close. Who's up next?
We got Daniel in North Carolina.
Daniel in North Carolina. What you got for me?
Hey, Clay, I just wanted to get your thoughts on this. Relating Election Day to the Super Bowl. The Monday after the Super Bowl is statistically a day that a lot of people take off. Even if you're not into football, stay up and you watch the Super Bowl and you take that Monday off. What would you say if, the government actually got involved and said, you know what, we're going to make Election Day and the day after a time to where, those that want to stay up and watch the election results, hey, we're going to give you the day off the next day.
Yeah, thanks for the call. I've always said that if you gave me a magic wand and said, Clay Travis, you're in charge of setting up all of the American sports calendar, I would make the Super Bowl the Sunday before President's Day. And then I would make President's Day a holiday, which it already is, but I would make it so that everybody didn't have to go to work the next day, right? So I'd make President's Day a bigger thing, and then the NFL could lean 100% into having a holiday weekend, with the culmination of that holiday weekend being a Sunday afternoon, evening football game that everybody got excited about. I don't have anything against the idea of an Election Day holiday. I mean, look, all the kids in our jurisdiction were out of school. I imagine a lot of kids wherever you live were as well, because people were voting inside of schools, and they tend to shut down a lot of schools for Election Day now. So all my kids were out of school for that reason, and I think that's probably a good move in general. Who's up next, Dub?
We got Scott in Illinois.
Scott, what you got for me?
Hey, guys, I want to start off by just saying thanks for taking my call. Love the show. I just wanted to shed a little perspective on being from Illinois. I just want to say there's a lot of people from Illinois pulling for Trump right now. As you know, we have a governor that seems to have a vested interest in keeping our state shut down. Just for example, I live in a county with 30,000 people that has currently 165 COVID cases with 2 deaths. And our kids aren't playing sports. Our kids aren't even in school with 2 deaths. So
yeah, thanks for the call. Well, just diving in, yes, Illinois has been, I think, many people who are Outkick listeners live in Illinois, and I think that many people in Illinois have been really, really just treated unfairly by the decisions that have been made in Illinois. The fact that kids haven't been able to play high school sports, I think, has been proven to be totally without merit. Not just high school football, but all high school sports. I just think that is a fundamental failure of the state of Illinois, and I feel bad for people out there in Illinois, particularly young kids who are in high school and wanted to be able to play fall sports, and the governor has just been way overreactive in not allowing people to do things. Meanwhile, in Ohio, they played high school football. In Indiana, they played high school football. In Kentucky, they played high school football. All these different places, Michigan, that are near and around the state of Illinois, they found a way to play high school sports. And I believe, and I'm not sure what the absolute latest on this is, but I believe there is a battle that is going on right now over whether high school basketball is going to be possible in the state of Illinois, and I'm rooting for kids to be able to play high school football in that state. Let me get one more call before we go to break here.
Yeah, we got Bruce in Maryland.
Bruce, what you got for me?
Hey, Clay. Good morning. I was up most of the night, like you, in watching the results on the air. But my kid is a junior at West Virginia University and is involved with the campus radio station out there. So it was interesting listening to a 20-year-old's perspective on this. They got to vote in a presidential election for the first time, so it was kind of neat, listening to my kid and his colleagues, talk about the election from a college kid's perspective. But the real reason that I wanted to call you is that Maryland finally has passed the referendum on sports betting. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, that had been on our ballot, I think, the last 2 or 3 election cycles, and finally, Maryland has a tendency to be a little slow on the uptake. We've had gambling for 10 years in the state when it should have been the last 20 years when Delaware.
So what will that be like? I think I also saw that Louisiana had passed to allow sports gambling. I know there were several different states with that on the ballot, and then there's also legalizing drugs on a bunch of the ballots that I think has also passed. But what will it look like in Maryland?
I was going to say, from a personal perspective, that means that I'm not going to have to drive to Delaware Park on Saturday afternoons anymore to make my football picks. So
awesome.
At least we have that.
Appreciate the call.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, a couple of other states that are going to be, because we talked about Tennessee, which is the state that I live in now, went legal with sports gambling on Sunday. So they've only had it for like 3 days. FanDuel.com/Clay. Right now, it's an unbelievable offer. You get 25-1 on your payout if you're a new customer if Tennessee beats Arkansas. So first college football game in the state of Tennessee that you can bet on, featuring the University of Tennessee. You can bet $5 and you win back $125. So that in and of itself is pretty interesting to follow. But Virginia and Michigan are both also going to soon have sports gambling, I am told, in their states, which is also going to be cool. It's, I think, ultimately going to be almost everywhere like the lottery is. And I think that's a good public policy move, given that it's the amount of tax dollars that you can gain that way makes a lot of sense.